It was a clear summer day as a hot afternoon sun shone down on the Jones farm, nestled on the banks of Rich Creek along the West Virginia state line. Grover Jones was leaning back in his easy chair, reading the book of Genesis about the 13 sons of Jacob. Just then, Grover's eldest boy approached him. "Pa, want to throw some horseshoes with me?" The strapping young 12-year-old boy's name was William Pinkley Jones. But just like all the children in the Jones household, Grover had assigned young William a nickname, which was Punch. And it was no wonder that Mr. Jones' favorite biblical character was Jacob. You see, while Jacob might have had 13 children, Grover Jones had 12 youngins of his own, and all of them was boys. "Come on, Pa, please. Let's go throw some horseshoes." All right, Punch. I guess you want to see what a champion horseshoe thrower looks like in action, don't you? I reckon you must have forgot it weren't nary 2 short years ago when I took first prize in the Monroe County Barnyard Golf Championship with one of the most glorious throws ever seen before in the state of West by God, Virginia. And I tell you, I'm still in my prime. With that, the father and son struck out for a friendly game of competition on the grassy meadow in the backyard. The cherry tree marked the official spot where one competitor stood, and 40 feet in the opposite direction stood a weeping willow sapling where the other aspiring champion positioned himself. The entire arena was positioned about 25 yards away from the creek, which meandered throughout the homestead with the gentle sounds of water running over and around a bed of rocks. This was the way Grover and Punch spent most Sunday afternoons after church. Indeed, it was time well spent, for Mr. Jones would once again assume the title of Professor Jones down at the local high school tomorrow morning, where he was the head of the mathematics department. And Punch, he would once again spend each weekday afternoon at basketball or baseball practice, where he was the star player on both teams. As the game of horseshoes went on, the 12-year-old boy was holding his own, matching his father throw for throw. The area around the pins was dug out nearly a foot down into the earth from years of play. Each time a shoe landed, a tiny bit of more ground would be dug away, escaping in a cloud of dust. With the game tied at 37 apiece, Mr. Grover lined up for his final shot. Determination to win was written across his face, and there was a focus in his eyes that said he would not be denied. "I'll show this young whippersnapper what I'm made of," he thought to himself, as he calmly exhaled and sent his shoe sailing, end over end, towards the pin. Oh, it had the perfect speed and pitch, a thing of beauty, and when it hit the ground, there was the distinctive metal sound as it wrapped around the pin. "Ringer and winner," the happy father announced as he rubbed his hand across his son's head, messing his hair up on purpose. "You put up a good fight, son, a worthy opponent, but you still can't whip your paw just yet." Satisfied, the victorious champion began walking back towards the cabin. "Dagnabbit, I almost had him," Punch thought to himself as he took one last throw towards the pit and turned to leave. Yet, when the horseshoe hit the turf, a distinctive sound rang out. It was almost musical in tone, and it caught the 12-year-old boy's attention. As he approached the horseshoe, he saw something beside it that glimmered in the sunlight. "What in the heck is that?" he asked himself. It was a large, gem-like stone, almost a solid inch around. It was white with a blue-like tint. Punch had found many pieces of quartz on the farm, but never one that looked quite like this. "I'll add this to my rock collection," he thought to himself as he slid the mysterious stone into his pocket alongside the other miscellaneous collection of string and rubber bands and pennies and marbles. But the real question was, what in the world had Punch found in that horseshoe pit? Hey guys, JD here. Click the link below to check out my new book. It's full of stories just like the one you're listening to right now. Now, back to the story. That night, after supper, Punch was cleaning the table as his mama washed the dishes, when he remembered the curious stone that he had found that day. So he pulled it from his pocket. "Look, Ma, I found me a diamond today." His mother paused for a moment, taking the stone and running her soapy fingers across the surface. "Well, isn't that the prettiest piece of quartz? Let's put it with your other rocks in the kitchen drawer." And so it was. In April of 1928, the stone was tucked away in a cheese box in the junk drawer, and it wasn't thought of again. Heck, after a couple years, the cheese box itself, along with all its contents, disappeared from the drawer during one of Mrs. Jones' spring cleaning marathons. Meanwhile, the Grover Jones family grew and grew. After Punch, there came Robert, and Richard, and Thomas, and John, and Paul, and Woodrow, and Ted, and William, and Pete, and Rufus, Grover Jr., Buck, Sam, Leslie, and Giles. You see, in one of the strangest, most unusual set of events, Grover Jones and his wife Grace were now the proud parents of 16 boys. I kid you not, even Jacob from the Bible would have stood in awe. No one had ever heard of a woman giving birth to 16 young'uns who were all healthy boys. And because of this, by 1940, the Jones family were famous all across America for what was claimed to be the world record for the most consecutive boys born by one woman. Even President Roosevelt invited the Jones family to the White House for dinner, and that year, the World's Fair was held in New York City, where the mayor declared it National Jones Family Day, where the entire family were now celebrities, rubbing elbows with the governor of New York. They were featured on NBC television, and even Ripley's Believe It or Not. Businessmen from everywhere offered Mr. Jones lucrative contracts to go on tour across the United States with his family, while others offered large sums to become spokesmen for various products. Yet the wise father didn't want to subject his wife and his children to this limelight for extended periods, and he politely declined. After their brush with fame, the family quietly returned home to the mountains of West Virginia, where Grover resumed his teaching job, and his family resumed their simple, quiet lives out of the eye of the public. However, destiny would soon come calling again, and what happens next would not only bring the family fame again, but it would send shockwaves all across planet Earth. By 1942, Punch Jones was now 25 years old, married, and had a baby of his own, which was, as could have been predicted, also a boy. One day, Punch was visiting his father, helping him clean up around the shop, when he found an old cigar box tucked away in the back of a cabinet. When he opened it, there was a bunch of marbles, pennies, and lo and behold, there was that old gem that he had found 13 years ago, when he was just a boy. "Hey, Paul, looky here. You remember this from the days of us throwing horseshoes?" "Well, I'll be. I remember that day well. I threw the prettiest throw ever seen on Rich Creek, and I beat you 40-37, fair and square." Both men shared the memory and then a laugh. And once again, curious about the unidentified stone, Punch slipped it into his pocket. As the weeks went by, he carried it with him, frequently showing it off to his friends. One person offered Punch a solid quarter for the pretty rock. Another fella even offered him a staggering $25 for it. However, Punch knew he might be holding something special when a car dealer in Petersburg offered him a brand new car in exchange for the rock. And as bad as Punch needed a car, he decided to hold on to the stone and do some investigating. So he began checking out books and magazines at the local library about the characteristics of natural gems. He began conducting experiments to test the hardness of the stone. It would cut glass without damaging it, and when you put water on it, it beat it up instead of running off of it. The more and more he read, he began to believe that this 5/8 of an inch gem might in fact be a diamond. "Oh, that's hogwash. Ain't nary a diamond ever been found in West Virginia," his dad countered. But Punch was still believing that the rock was something special. So he made a phone call to a geology professor down at Virginia Tech, and he explained that he had found a special rock. The professor politely listened and then confidently told Punch that what he found was nothing more than a piece of quartz. Yet, even after the disappointing phone call, Punch decided to make the 35-mile drive down to Virginia Tech and show the professor the stone in person. When he got to the university, the professor was giving a lecture to a class, but Punch knocked on the door anyway. "Come in," the professor said. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir, but I talked to you on the phone the other day about a rare stone I found on my property, and I'd like to show it to you if you can spare a few minutes." "Excuse me, class. I apologize. This will only take a moment." The distinguished professor hastily extended his hand to receive the stone, and as soon as Punch put it in his hand, the professor gasped and fell back against his desk, almost fainting, speechless for several moments as he studied the gem held between his fingers. "Dear heavens, son, where on earth did you find this?" That's right. In that moment, it was revealed that the stone which Punch Jones had unearthed during a game of horseshoes as a young boy, and the same one that was placed in a cheese box and then lost for 13 years before being found again, was actually a diamond. And not just any diamond. It was a rare type of diamond that weighed 7 grams and was a staggering 34 carats with 12 diamond-shaped faces on it. Punch Jones had found the largest alluvial diamond ever found in North America. Unbelievable. How on earth did it end up in that horseshoe pit? Was it from the nearby creek? Had it been dropped there by a bird, since they're known to swallow shiny objects? Was it a remnant of the last ice age? There were so many questions. However, Punch never had time to even investigate. Within days of his visit to the professor, the Jones family received a certified letter from the United States government. 6 of their 16 sons had been drafted, including Punch, to report immediately to basic training camp in Texas to prepare for World War II. Punch knew he couldn't leave that diamond at home while he was gone, so he worked out an agreement with the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. to display the rare diamond until he returned. You know, the longer I live, the more I realize that fate can sometimes be unbearably cruel. Punch Jones was in the prime of his life, with a new wife, a 3-month young son, and he had just found out that he was the owner of the largest diamond ever found in North America. Yet, tragically, he would never see any of them again. After finishing basic training, Punch was assigned to the 97th Infantry Division and sent to the front lines in Germany, where he was shot and killed instantly, only weeks before the war ended. All told, 11 of the 16 Jones boys would end up fighting in wars on behalf of America. But Punch, the oldest of them all, was the only one who didn't make it back home, leaving behind a young widow and a son who would never know his father. As for that diamond, well, it was officially named the Punch Jones Diamond and remained on display in the Smithsonian until 1968, when the family put the diamond on display at the West Virginia State Fair and then placed it in a safe deposit box, where it remained until 1984. At that time, the diamond was put up for auction in New York City, where it sold for nearly $250,000 in today's money, which was given to Punch's wife and son. And today, no one knows the whereabouts of the Punch Jones diamond, since it was sold to an anonymous lawyer in South Korea. So my friends, now you know the story of the Punch Jones diamond. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more true stories on Appalachia's past.